Topics that we will cover up in this video are getting metadata description of a field, getting all the fields of an SObject, describe field result class, and some common methods of describe field result class. So without wasting any time further, let's proceed with the video. So here you can see there are two codes written. In the first code, we are actually mentioning the name field of the account object. By saying account.name, we are getting the SObject field token or token of any SObject field, and then we are calling the getDescribe method of it. This getDescribe method will give us the metadata description of that specific field, which we can hold in an object of describe field result class. Then after, we can use this object to get different information of that specific field. Now if you remember, a few videos ago I told you about the fields property of describe SObject result. In the second piece of code, we are taking help of that property. So first, we are mentioning account.SObjectType to get the token of account object, and then we are calling the getDescribe method, which will give us the describe SObject result object, and then we are calling the fields property to get all the fields of it. And finally, we are calling the getMap method on the fields property so that we can get a map of different fields. Now this map contains a key value pair, as just like any other map does. The key is a string type and the value is SObject field type. Now this map can be used to know all the fields of a specific object. Now describe field result class have some common properties like get default value, get label, get name, get type, is custom, get reference to, is ID lookup, is external ID, is unique, is nullable, is calculated, and get calculated formula. So it's pretty much of talk, and now it's time to see the things practically. So today we will see how we can get the metadata description of a specific field. Now to specify any specific field of any SObject, you first need to mention the SObject, then the name of that specific field, let's suppose type field of account object, and then you can mention the getDescribe method. With this, you can get the metadata description inside the describe field result class of the schema namespace. So let me create an object of that class. Here this result object of describe field result class will contain the metadata description of the type field of account object. Now from this metadata description, you can get different information of this field. I'm showing few of these information, and then I will show you another way in which we can get field description of all the fields of a specific object. Now once you get the metadata description of the field, you can use different methods of describe field result class to get different information of that specific field. So let me show you some of them. So these are the various methods. Of course, these are some of the common methods of describe field result class. There are some certain other methods as well, and you will get the documentation link to look over the rest of them and try to get your hands dirty related to it. Now get label method tells us the label of that field. Get name method tells the API name of that specific field. Get type method returns an enum, which is display type enum, and with help of which it will tell you the type of that specific field. Default value gives you the default value of that specific field, if any. Is custom will tell you true or false depending upon whether it is a custom field or not. Get reference to will return you about the information to which this field is referencing to only if it is a reference type of field. Is ID lookup will return true in case this specific field can be used as an ID lookup field in the merge statement, otherwise this will return false. Is external ID will return true depending upon whether it is external ID, otherwise it will return false. Is unique will return true if it is a unique type of field, otherwise false. Is nullable will return true if it is not a required field. Is calculated will return true if it is a formula field, that means the value in this field is getting calculated. And in case of formula field, get calculated formula will return you the formula that we have used for that specific field. Now let's see the output of all these methods for the type field of the account object. So here you can see the label is account type, API name is type, field type is pick list, default value is null, it is not a custom field, hence is custom is false, it is not referencing to anything, hence that is giving a blank list, it is not an ID lookup field, hence it is false, it is not an external ID, that's why it is a false as well, it is also not a unique field, hence that is false as well, is nullable is true, that means you can leave the value for this specific field as null. It is not calculated, hence is calculated is false, and because there is no calculated formula, it is giving us null. Suppose you want to know all these information for all the fields of an object, that's also you can do. So let me take help of a class where I am going to get all the field information of account object. So here I have created a class field info, and I will create a static method with void return type get for accounts. And here first of all I will find out all the fields of account. So for that, here we will take help of describe as object result. So we will first create an object of describe as object result. So here you can see we are getting the token of account as object. So account dot SObject type, and then we are getting the metadata description which we are storing in OBJ-RES. Now from this OBJ-RES we can come to know about all the fields by using the fields property and then calling the getMap method. It will return a map with key as string and value as SObject field type. So the value is actually a token of that field, and I am mentioning it as fields map. So here it will give us a map of all the fields of the account SObject. So instead of creating a temporary object in between, we can directly call this whole over here, and now we don't need this OBJ-RES. Once we get the fields map, we can iterate over it. So I am iterating over the key of the map. So fields map dot key set, and now from the fields map we can get SObject field itself. So here we are passing the key in the map itself and fetching that specific value, which is nothing but an SObject field. Now from this field we can get the description of it by using the getDescribe method. This will give the metadata description of that field, which we can certainly hold in describe field result. Now here also you see we have created a temporary variable field. We are getting the field of that specific key and storing it in field, and from that field we are getting the description. If you will copy this whole and paste it over here, you don't need any temporary variable over here. And once we get the field result, we can get the information, various types of information, which I have shown you a few minutes ago with the different types of methods of describe field result. So let me just type it over here. So here you go, you can see I have called all those methods over here on the field result, and it will show all those values, and then after I am just adding a separator, and now we can execute this class, and now we can call the method of this class. So let me do that. So it will be field info dot get for accounts, and let me execute this, and here you can see it is giving me information of all the fields. If you will modify it a bit more, you can make a more generic method. Like in the last class we studied about get global describe, so we can create a method that can accept an object name and get the fields information of that specific object. So let me create one more method over here. So you can clearly see I have accepted an object name in get for object method, and here I am converting the name into lowercase. Now I can copy the same thing which I have done here. So let me just copy this. The only difference is here we will not fetch it for account. In fact, we will fetch it for a specific object specified by object name. So here we will directly mention that schema dot get global describe, which will give us a map dot get, and then we will mention the object name over here, and then the SObjectType dot get describe. So in fact this object name over here, and then we can call the get describe on it, because this get and the object name will give us an SObjectType itself. So depending upon what type of name you are passing to get for object, it is going to give you information of all the fields of that specific object. Let me show you. So we will call here get for object, and let me pass a custom object like student, and let me execute this. So here you can see it is showing me information of all the fields of that specific object. So these are the different methods of field info class which you can certainly use. As I told you, there are some other methods as well. So please go through the documentation and try to work on them. Try to do your R&D on the rest of the methods that is given over there. We are going to talk about one more interesting method of describe field result in the next video. That marks the end of this video. See you soon in the next video. Till then, thank you and take care.